He wore the hat, sang the songs, and became a legend. But what if the Alan Jackson we all thought we knew was only part of the story? For decades, fans believed in the image of a pure, grounded country icon. But now, his own daughter is breaking her silence, revealing the emotional truth behind the music, the pain behind the fame, and the man behind the myth. What she shares will change how you see him forever. Stay tuned. This is the Alan Jackson story you were never told. Alan Jackson was born in 1958 in Newnan, Georgia, the youngest of 5 children in a working-class family. They lived in a modest home built around his grandfather's old tool shed. His mother, Ruth Jackson, was the heart of the household and instilled in him the core values of faith and responsibility. His father, Joseph Eugene "Daddy" Gene Jackson, worked as a mechanic. In church, Alan found his first exposure to music through hymns. But his early life wasn't spent daydreaming about stardom. It was spent working. At age 12, he took a job in a shoe store to help his family. Later, he worked construction and drove a forklift. His musical path began when a high school friend introduced him to the raw power of artists like Gene Watson, John Anderson, and Hank Williams Jr. That was the spark. He joined a band called Dixie Steel, playing in bars and at fairs across Georgia. But it wasn't until his high school sweetheart, Denise Jackson, took a bold step that his life changed. While working as a flight attendant, she met Glenn Campbell and told him about her husband's talent. Campbell gave her a number to his manager, and in 1985, Alan and Denise moved to Nashville. Alan's journey started in the mailroom at the Nashville Network, performing at night, watching talent shows, and grinding without recognition. Finally, in 1989, he became the first artist signed to the country division of Arista Records. His first single flopped, but his second, Here in the Real World, rocketed into the Billboard Top 3. From there, his career exploded with hits like Chattahoochee, Wanted, and Don't Rock the Jukebox. He wasn't flashy. His music was simple, real, and grounded, just like him. Behind the fame, however, his marriage faced storms. Alan and Denise had married in 1979, young and full of hope, but unprepared for the demands of celebrity life. As Alan's career took off, he spent more time touring and less time at home. By 1998, it all came to a breaking point. Alan had an affair, and Denise, devastated, separated from him. Their daughter, Maddie Jackson, later spoke about how she never understood why some Christmases were so heavy, until Denise told her the truth. During their time apart, Denise began writing to process her emotions. She wrote about pain, forgiveness, and rediscovering herself outside of her husband's shadow. Then, 3 months later, Alan reached out. They didn't reunite immediately. They had hard conversations. But eventually, they chose to start over, this time with clarity and mutual understanding. Alan once said, "Without Denise, I would have been completely lost." In 2007, Denise published her memoir, It's All About Him. And no, the him wasn't Alan, it was God. Their renewed bond was grounded in faith. In 2010, they faced another life-altering blow. Denise was diagnosed with colon cancer, ironically, during a vacation to celebrate their anniversary. The couple rushed back to Nashville, where Denise began intense chemotherapy. Alan, at the peak of his career, put everything on hold. He took her to appointments, waited outside treatment rooms, and held her through the worst of it. That, he said, was when he truly understood what their wedding vows meant. After more than a year, Denise was declared cancer-free. Then, in 2021, Alan shared a secret he'd kept for over a decade. On the Today Show, he revealed he had Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, a genetic neurological disorder passed down from his father. It weakens the muscles and affects balance, especially while walking or standing. He admitted he was embarrassed and afraid fans would misinterpret his unsteadiness on stage. So he kept quiet, adjusted his performances, and avoided media scrutiny. But by 2024, the illness had progressed. Despite therapy and assistive gear, Alan still refused to use a wheelchair on stage. He wanted to maintain the image his fans knew and loved. Through all of this, he kept creating music. Even while physically struggling, he still wrote songs late at night because it made him feel alive. Maddie shared a poignant memory of finding her father alone, silently strumming his guitar and crying. He never said he was in pain, but she knew he feared the day his body wouldn't let him play anymore. Alan Jackson was never afraid to speak his truth, through music or action. In 1999, at the Country Music Association Awards, when George Jones was told to shorten his performance of Choices, he refused. Alan, scheduled to sing Papa Top, stopped mid-performance and launched into Choices in tribute. The crowd erupted. That moment became one of the most iconic acts of protest in country music. Then came 2016, when Beyoncé performed Daddy Lessons with the Chicks at the CMAs. While many applauded the bold collaboration, others, Alan included, felt it strayed too far from country's roots. Reports say Alan quietly walked out during the performance, signaling his disapproval without a word. To him, country was sacred and didn't need pop star power for relevance. Controversial songs like Murder on Music Row with George Strait and It's All Right to Be a Redneck split audiences. Some called them outdated. Others called them honest. Alan didn't mind. He believed in country music's roots and wasn't afraid to defend them, even when it meant ruffling feathers. Even as the world evolved, Alan remained grounded. In 2022, he launched The Last Call, one more for the road tour. It was supposed to be short, but after the initial shows sold out, he added more. By 2025, he had completed 8 of 10 final shows. Each night, fans watched not just a performance, but a farewell, though Alan never officially called it that. At the Grand Ole Opry's 100th anniversary in March 2025, Alan performed Chattahoochee. When he finished, the audience fell silent, then burst into applause. He didn't speak, he didn't wave, just a small smile. That said everything. Meanwhile, his whiskey brand, Silver Belly Whiskey, named after the shade of his cowboy hat, gained critical acclaim. Proceeds support aging musicians and their families, proving again that Alan never forgot where he came from. Maddie, now a published author and advocate, shares her story through books like Lemons on Friday. After losing her husband in a tragic accident, she turned to writing, her father's quiet strength guiding her through grief. In her podcast, Enjoying Life, she often reflects on the love, pain, and healing that defines the Jackson family story. And that's what sets Alan Jackson apart. Not just the music, not just the awards, but the man. Honest, flawed, loyal, and strong. He wasn't always perfect, but he never stopped trying to be better. Whether he was singing about his daddy, his heartbreak, or September 11th, Alan always sang from the soul. He didn't build a legacy with tricks or trends. He built it with truth. And though he may not stand on stage forever, his voice, his real voice, will echo in country music forever. Like, share, and subscribe for more untold truths and heartfelt journeys. Thanks for watching.